Well, how fabby at Two Women Chatting. Hello to everybody. We've got the most fabulous pair tonight with us, Rants and Big Pants. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Welcome. Hello. How you doing?
We're doing all right.
So good to see you, because we bumped into you at Pause Live, didn't we, in November?
Yeah, you did. We knew about each other before, didn't we?
Yeah. And I'm coming on your retreat. We'll get to that, 'cause I'm giddy with excitement. I really am.
You know what I love? The fact that she keeps calling it a retreat. I love it a retreat. You're in such a shock. It's so not a retreat. I'm telling you that. You think
It's a weekender.
You think it's very zen and very like
Zen.
No, I'll bring my glitter. I promise. I'll bring whatever is needed for the school disco vibe. I love it. I can't wait.
I'm so jealous now.
For those few on the planet who are midlife women who don't actually know who you are, Rants and Big Pants, DB and Neens, or DB, Kitty, Natasha, many iterations.
I mean, I get confused, and I'm a partner in crime, so I can't imagine what it's like for the people out there following us.
Why have you got so many different names?
Because I am one thing to my family and immediate friends. I am another thing to another set of friends, and another name which is my author name. So that's the reason I have three names.
Basically, DB is the initials of her surname.
Of my surname.
Yeah.
So it is.
So that's a perfect time then. So how about DB, you go first. Tell us a little bit about you and your background.
So I am originally I'm a Brentwood girl where Towie was filmed, or what Towie made famous. And I've been here in Chelmsford for about 22, 23 years. I work full-time and have done for the last 21 years at Benefit Cosmetics, which is where I met my pal. I am a mum of 17-year-old twin boys, and I self-published my first novel in May last year.
Yay!
Wow.
Nice job. And how about you, Neens? Tell us about you. I know about you, but I mean, and you've been sharing.
Everybody does.
Well, I started out as a Butlins redcoat. Did that for many years, loved it. I called it my University of Life, being at Butlins. It was brilliant. And then I was in a pop group, which was a failed pop group. Failed as in we wanted to make it, but we never actually got there. But we did support really big acts in the 90s. So that was fantastic. Then
I've got to name drop a few of the bands you support.
So Blue, Misty, Steps. Yeah. So I had to lie about my age back then. I was actually 30, but I had to lie and say I was 24.
That's
Face though, she gets away with it.
And eat toilet roll. Wasn't allowed to eat back then either.
Oh, God, no. Was it worth it?
It's all right now, but then it was like, yeah. So, and then after that, I went on to do solo stuff, and we were managed by Hazel Dean back in the day. Do you remember Hazel Dean?
I do. I'm trying to think of her song.
I mean, we put it together ourselves, but then we went on for more management. She was our manager. And then after that, went solo and just was doing clubs, pubs, etc. And went for a little part-time job at the head office of a makeup brand that ended up being Benefit Cosmetics. So DB and I were pretty much the first sort of 7 or 8 of us in the office of Benefit Cosmetics. It was tiny. And then it grew and grew and grew. And then I left last year to pursue Rants and Big Pants.
to make it your full-time job now.
That's it. That's what I do full-time, because listen, you may understand this as well, but somebody comments on some content that you've done, and you know what? If somebody's taken the time to comment, the least we can do is take the time to reply and respond. And listen, that's something that I hold really strongly, but it is very difficult, because yesterday we had 500 odd comments on something, which is amazing. But how do you
manage it? Yeah.
It's really difficult.
It is a full-time job in and of itself.
Yeah, it is. But yes, I'm doing that sort of full-time now, and the weekend takes up a lot of time to organise.
Well, let's take it back then to what is Rants and Big Pants, because you are the cheerleaders, really, aren't you, for Gen X women, and you've created this fabulous midlife platform. you've got so many followers. Like, I was just looking before we came on, 65,000 followers on Facebook and about 50,000 on Instagram. Like, yo.
She's getting depressed about it.
Oh, bless her. Well, I tell you what it is. I think what happened was we both worked for a beauty company, and we always felt very representative. But then you get to about the age of 40, and then that kind of
nobody represents you.
no. And we were like, do you know what? We work for a female empowering brand. We're all part of a sisterhood, but actually we don't see ourselves. We don't see ourselves anywhere. And then of course menopause happened. At the time I sort of spoke out about it at work, and I was told it was all in the mind, which that's not a dig at anybody. It's just that it wasn't openly spoken about back then. So we decided to start Rants and Big Pants and just talk about things that were going on in our life.
Felt.
And I remember that I felt I had Alzheimer's. And then, someone, an expert came along and said that could be brain fog for perimenopause. And I was like, sorry, what? I mean, I'm going back 5 years ago when nobody was talking.
That's not long though, is it? 5 years. Come on, that's recent, because both Liz and I thought we had brain
Mine
tumours.
was 10 years ago, I was sent for a brain scan.
Me too.
See what I mean?
But when you think about it, even in the last 5 years, the menopause as a subject has really exploded. But 5 years ago, nobody was speaking about it
On social.
Nobody.
Very rarely. So we were really lucky that experts were coming up to us and saying, we'd really like to sort of do a live with you. And, we may have only had like 150 followers at the time. We're like, oh my God, brilliant. Let's talk about this. So we were helping each other.
And we just happened to fall into menopause at the same time.
Literally, yeah.
Couldn't remember to turn up.
But it was, we were doing fashion, we were doing beauty, we were anything and everything that comes into a 40-plus-year-old's life. Now, all right, it's 50-plus. But do you know what it is to us? It's just about being your authentic self in the moment. I've spoken really openly this last few weeks saying, you know what? I'm struggling a bit this January. I don't feel my tip-top self, but I can't go on social and go, hi, it's Neens. And actually, I don't feel that way. The only person I'm cheating is myself. Well, I'm cheating the community, but that's not good for anyone's brain to not.
That's why you two work so well, because you are authentic and you are honest. And one of the reels that you shared that made me laugh the most, made me absolutely howl, was when you were getting into a jacuzzi, Neens, and you had the HRT patch sticker stuff on your butt, and it got stuck on a loop for some reason on my Instagram. I must have seen your butt about 50 times. But it's that's real.
It is real, and lots of women walk around like us with big black squares of stickiness stuck to our bottoms, and nobody talks about it. And we've picked at each other's skin, try and get this off. Because it's, we know each other so well, but other women might be sitting there thinking, I'm really, really self-conscious. It doesn't bother me. It's part of me. Now I'd rather have the patch than be without it. But for some women, they need that to see something like that to actually feel like they're okay.
Oh my God, I'm
and
normal.
Everybody has those.
Normalising it. Exactly.
Like, listen, it may only be, but it may only be sticky residue. But actually, someone at home's going, shit, how do you get this off? I can't put it. How do I talk about this? Does
anybody else have this?
Because we know now, baby oil, right?
Well, some people are on their own.
oil,
They don't have somebody to laugh with and go, oh my God, I need to show you my buttocks.
But you do get your fair share as well of, I can see what a really good positive community, like a tribe that you've created, great people. But you also get the odd woman who is such a keyboard warrior. Is just like that they're doing the emojis of being sick because they're seeing you in your underwear or what. Like, what are women like?
Listen, they've got to live with who they are.
Do you know what? I love those. Do you know what I do with those comments? I pin them. So somebody put it was that was it. I put something on saying belt or no belt, right? And it was actually my first viral thing. It's had 2.5 million views or whatever. All it was a dress saying, do I wear the belt or no belt? And somebody put what was it, belt? That you have no waist anyway. So it was really derogatory. This comment, just basically saying you have no waist. So why are you even bothering asking the question? So I put, well, thankfully I have no feelings either. And then I just tagged it, and then so many people have gone at this person who claims to be a good Christian.
Always.
Everyone has gone back to going, oh, good Christian, my ass, you're nothing but a nasty, and it's like, listen.
But you're not going to stop them. You're not going to stop these people saying whatever they want. That is the premise behind a keyboard warrior. They can't be
anonymity.
Yeah.
But that's on them. Do you know what's really sad about that is they're actually angry at something. And that's not good to have that anger inside, And if they vent that at me, I swear to you, it does not faze me.
Leave somebody else alone.
It just doesn't bother me.
Yeah, as you said, if they're leaving someone else alone.
And you can take it.
Yeah.
Now, DB, you are, how can we put it? Straight talking. I love that. You say what you think. And I loved a post that you did just the other day, actually, about, Good Night, Sweetheart. And what the absolute heck? Really? Can I just wind you up and I'm going to throw it in there?
We were actually having this conversation today about something completely different, but that you have to now, it seems, everything that you say, you have to censor it to a certain extent because you seem to upset somebody. Even the most innocuous of comments, you're upsetting somebody. But when I flip that over onto Good Night, Sweetheart, now I'm not saying, I do appreciate that we have moved forward, and what we once found funny, we know actually it was at a time, at a place, it wasn't really there. However, something like Good Night, Sweetheart, and having this warning was it was almost bizarre because who in their right mind, I don't know what it could have been in the programme, actually, that may have caused offence. But the fact that they did it. Now, on the other side of the coin, there was a programme on the other night, and I stuck it on the cord, and it was about the floods in London in 1928. Yeah. And at the beginning of that, they gave a warning as well, and they said that some of the scenes in this people might find upsetting. And I did that whole roll your eyes, oh my God, not this again, don't watch it if it's going to upset you. And actually, within the sort of first 5-10 minutes of the programme, it dealt with a lot of people, especially children, being trapped and therefore who drowned. So I get that, especially, when this country now, we go through so many floods and so many people lose their life. That makes perfect sense.
It's triggering, potentially, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. But for something like Good Night, Sweetheart, which, let's be honest, the people who the chances are going to be offended by it, they're not going to want to watch it anyway.
Exactly.
It's going to be my parents or me flicking around the channels.
Yeah.
My 17-year-olds wouldn't be sitting there
and dream of it. And I get it for, some of the old programmes that were racist, like On the Buses or Love Thy Neighbour. I get that, but they're not even shown anymore anyway. And it's just like they're treating us like children. Can't we just make our decision for ourselves? You watch, if you watch a horror movie, at the beginning of every horror movie, be careful, you might get frightened if you watch this film.
You know what, though? I feel nowadays we are scaring generations below us. And it's not to say to you, the news now, it's on 24/7, right? It's there time for it. When we were kids, it was there at 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock. 6 o'clock we were having our tea. So 10 o'clock we were in bed.
Yeah.
None of this scaremongering. Whereas now all you hear is doom, gloom. I say to my husband in the mornings, turn it off. I cannot watch it. All you hear is negative
It
wording.
sets you up for a bad moment from there on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it must be responsible for a lot of mental health issues in our kids these days. It's got to be. When you're seeing like the Gaza Strip and things that are not filtered on TikTok, there's got to be some legislation really to... But
you know what? Bad on TikTok. You're right. Why is that not filtered? Why is that getting through? And it's wrong. It's
coming from China.
It's not a news. It's not a news platform.
Oh God, no.
It's not where you would go and look at, what you think of as bona fide news.
But the kids don't know that. They watch it because they think it's real.
Oh,
That's what they're growing up with. Like my daughter will say to me, "Oh, something's happened." I'll go, "Where'd you get that from?" TikTok. Yeah, that, and she's 17.
And of course, TikTok is feeding you more of the same. And the same, like with eating disorders. If you look up something about, I don't know, being sick or having anorexia, TikTok feeds you more of that. And you see more girls who are throwing up and getting skinny and sick.
This is what I say to parents, right? So your first thing, if you're worried about your child's mental health, I always say 9 times out of 10 they're going to be on TikTok. Look at what they're fed.
Yeah.
Look at their news feed, because you know exactly what they're looking at. And I say this to all parents. It's not difficult, but unless they hear that, they don't actually know how to know what they're interacting with. So listen, if you're listening now and you're worried about your child, just look at their TikTok account. Have a look at what they're being fed on their news feed.
Step number 1.
thing actually. I never did this because it wasn't we didn't really need it. However, Neens back in the day was very, very strict, and it got to a certain point, and you had your daughter on a like, I don't know what the word is.
Oh, yeah. So she was on an app, and I could basically control her time online.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the name
Great
of the app.
idea.
Oh, it was
But it
brilliant.
was great because actually
Our Pact.
That's
OURPACT. Our Pact.
We'll put
And
that
I
on the
would just
website.
control her internet use. So she would have an hour after school and then an hour sort of after dinner, and that was it.
then
And it went off, but she accepted that because those
they were the rules. But then it falls into this, this thing now, like where the parents are like, well, I don't want to upset them.
You're the parent.
Yeah.
You are going to be a parent. Be a parent.
Yeah. Let's
I
not
don't-
build a snowflake.
And I don't think a lot of parents understand the damage that it's doing.
Our strictness was a lot fairer than what they're seeing out there.
Well, wasn't that just called boundaries? The lack of boundaries that kids, and I used to remember that kids like boundaries. They obviously they say they hate it, but when you're doing something wrong, you're protected, and you don't have to sort of say to your friends, my parents are just ridiculous. I'm not allowed to watch Grange Hill. And it gives you that sort of handing
Excuse,
off.
isn't it, as well?
Yeah,
I
hand off.
genuinely wasn't allowed to watch Grange Hill.
Neither was I.
My dad said it was a bad influence.
I used to sneak it like we all do.
I'll watch it with me. Love my dad.
Oh,
No, never allowed to. Never allowed to. But you're right, it is boundaries, and they're there for a reason.
And they used to keep people safe.
yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a teacher in today's day and age.
No.
Well, you call people the wrong name, or you forget that they're a kitten that day, and I know that's really controversial, but if you
that wasn't
you
true,
forget their
apparently.
litter box.
Yeah. But yeah.
Cat, whoopsie.
Yeah, but there's no boundaries. There is
Yeah.
no boundaries for even teachers. A teacher could ring a parent and just. I remember going, blimey, about 8 years ago to a parents' association thing, whatever it's called, and I remember there being an argument because the mum was saying, well, no, my kids should be disciplined by you because they're at your school. And the teacher was saying, but the discipline starts at home. And she was going, no, that it doesn't. They're more
Where's the
hours at yours
responsibility?
at school. And it's like, and then I piped up because I was like, sorry, I hate to
Excuse
intervene
me a
here.
moment.
I'm really sorry, but discipline starts at home. She still hasn't spoke to me this day.
But this is why they have to have the warnings on these programs.
Yeah.
Nobody takes any responsibility for themselves and says, actually, got no interest in this, whether I find it offensive or not. I don't want to watch it. Or I'm going to watch it and I'm not going to get offended. I'm going to understand that actually there was no malice behind it.
Well, I love your rants. You keep ranting away, DB. It's fantastic. I wanted to bring it back. You mentioned something about fathers there, and Neens, you really went very viral with your dad, with his Alzheimer's, and you working in the care home. Can you share any of that with our listeners? You did such a great thing during the pandemic. Amazing.
So, my dad had Alzheimer's. He had it for 12 years. And in the later stages, we kind of documented bits, but I was very conscious to keep it very real. But actually what I did do as well a lot was sharing the happiness of it. We're just talking
We're
about this.
literally just
Literally had a
talking about it.
conversation before we came on. We're just talking about Alzheimer's and stuff. But Yeah, so I shared the happiness. So when we would sing together, I'd make him play his guitar still because he was a musician, he was an artist. So, I'd always Google sort of things that were out there that would help people with Alzheimer's, buy them and then show it online. And then I had cameras at Dad's, caught his next door, but one neighbour stealing off him, went to the police. I mean, it's unbelievable what was going on, But anyway, he had it for 12 years. And in the January of 2020,
Yep.
put him in a care home because it was just not viable anymore. He'd gone into hospital.
He kept on going for a wander.
Yeah, but he went into hospital and he'd had a really bad infection and he never came back as good as what he was. So yeah, we decided to put him in a care home, literally put him in the care home, never mentioned his own home. I told him it was Butlins for old people.
Oh, bless him.
And of course, he had a good infinity with Butlins because he used to always come and see me,
And he loved people. So suddenly he was surrounded by people.
Yeah, so
Actually, it was quite good.
and then I'd go and see him every day. And then obviously lockdown struck and I would
2
go
months
in.
later.
Yeah, and I would go in and speak to the residents, not just Dad, all of them. I'd get them all singing. Oh, because obviously it was my ex-Butlins sort of stuff. So we'd be singing "How Much Is That Doggy in the Window" and and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah, lockdown hit, and I just said, look, I'm really willing to do anything at all. I want to be able to see my dad. And so I did some interviews. I had online tests because you have to obviously have the DBS check. You have to do all the sort of, they're not like really hard exams, but you have to do tests online. So there was about 8 of those for health and safety. 2 interviews later, got a job to volunteer in the care home. So I would go in and spend my
Bearing
time.
in mind everything's shut down because we're
Yeah.
right at the start of COVID and nothing's open.
Yeah. So I was furloughed from benefit at the time. And so I went in and would volunteer, and the reward at the end was to see my dad. So my dad sadly did pass away from COVID in the January.
Following January.
But trust me, that's a good thing because he was just going into the final stages of Alzheimer's. So he didn't have to endure that. So it was an absolute blessing and one that he'd be very pleased with because on his death certificate, it would say, I didn't die of Alzheimer's, nothing wrong with my brain. I died of COVID. He'd be happy with that. So that was actually a good thing. But then I carried on volunteering up until like the May or June. So I was there for just over a year, really. But everyone saw that as like, it did go viral because I think people were like, oh my God, this girl's found a way in. But I swear to God, it wasn't like that. And I said that to everybody. We were on This Morning, Sky News, everything. And it was like, honestly, I didn't do it.
He'd been
for
in there
the
for
genius.
such a short amount of time that
Well,
if she'd have suddenly disappeared, I mean, as
You know what? It was nothing. It was just a girl wanting to see her dad.
yeah,
It was just a girl wanting to see her dad. Honestly, it wasn't like this brainy. It was just
No.
like, and I'm very much someone that will act in a crisis. I'm great in a crisis. You want me to plan something? I'm not really a girl, but if you've got an issue, girls, ring me. So it was more like, shit, we're going into lockdown, right? Okay, I'll do anything. Just
What do I
get me
do?
in, and that was it. But yeah, and so lockdown for me, although I lost my dad, it was an amazing time for me because I got to spend my dad's final year with him.
That's the weird thing about the pandemic, isn't it? That for so many, that's her phone gone. For so many, it was obviously awful, awful, awful. But for those lucky enough to spend time with our families through one way or another, like I had my son home and my daughter, but my other daughter was in California, missed her terribly. But to have a boy in his final year of high school at home with you, and we've got gorgeous memories of watching Harry Potter. We'd watch the whole series, or we'd watch Tiger King. There'll always be now those memories, I think, for families who did get to spend time that you wouldn't have had, like table tennis in the garden and going for walks. It was like old times, wasn't it, when you had to create fun because you were locked into one place. That's one small positive, I suppose, but I have happy memories.
Same as you. I mean, my boys, they actually did their schoolwork for at least 6 hours a day. We had everything online. However, I share custody with my ex-husband. So suddenly, I've worked full time since they were a year old. So I got back time that I never thought I would get to share with them. And we'd have lunch together every single day. We'd have breakfast, we'd have lunch, and then we'd have our dinner. But we'd just spend time together. And I'd never had that luxury. So as hard as it was for so many people, for me, it was a bit of a blessing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. All right, off the pandemic, I'd love to ask you, Neens, I love your campaign for, have I got this right, side by size or size by side?
You know what? Don't worry, everybody takes a gamble, and 9 times out of 10 gets it wrong. So it's fine. It's actually size, so with the Z, by side.
Size by side. Got it.
Size by side. And it actually, you know what? It's to say that style has no size, really, no matter what your size, you know. And this was created through myself and Club 40 Claire, who is a stylist. So Claire came to one of our weekenders to speak as a stylist to help women. And at that point, she while she was demonstrating, she literally put my top inside my trousers, didn't she? And was showing a waist.
As
and
opposed
it was like,
to it hanging over and being quite boxy.
yeah. So you know, when you do it like this, but she actually tucked it in, and everyone was going, "Oh my God, that makes such a difference." And it was just something so small, but something that I would never do because I've got a tummy, or you know. So after the weekender, she said, "Look, I think you and I could do something here." And I said, "Well, let me tell you, I'm one of those women that looks at a size 10 woman and goes, well, it's right for you. You can wear that, but I can't." And I do, and we all do. You know,
well, not anymore. You don't, love.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But Claire has since, and Claire styles everything. Claire chooses everything, yeah. But I have learned so much from it. But I always say, like people say to me, "Neens, can you do more styling tips?" I don't do styling tips. I literally just put clothes on, and I think, well, that looks nice, I'll share it. That's the God's honest truth. So Claire and I will work with brands by where we will wear exactly the same clothing in different sizes. Claire's a size 10, I'm a size 18, and we just walk, and Claire will share some tips and tricks about it, and that's it. But I tell you what, that has helped so many women feel better about themselves.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Very empowering.
Very.
And it's just like, you know what? And it's true, it's not necessarily about the size, you know, it's about dress for your shape.
Yeah.
But it's also trying different stuff as well, because I stick to the same old clothes. I'm just so bored, you know, and then I think, oh, somebody said, try this, I'm knowing it. And then I put it on, I go, oh, that looks really nice.
Yeah.
You just don't, you're so stuck in your ways.
Yeah, and that's the same with makeup. And I think that's where the two of us are pretty good with makeup. We'll be really transparent. DB can't talk about makeup because she works for Benefit. I was very lucky. I had a bit of a separate contract, so I could do certain things. But since I've left, I can kind of do whatever now. Do what I like, yeah. So, you know, but we're both very much in the beauty sector. I mean, Tasha's been there 21 years. I was there sort of 20 years. So, you know, we were very lucky to kind of try different makeup, you know, and not break the bank. So that's why we talk about makeup, even though we look like shit a lot of the time, you know. We always say we are the founding members of the Scrub Up World Club.
Oh, well, I'd like to join that one, yeah.
We put our makeup on earlier, and I said to her, why is it that these days we put makeup on and we look like a pair of blow-up dolls?
Well, at least you're not looking like those inflatable turkeys. Oh, my God. Your Christmas reel, doing a Secret Santa wearing an inflatable turkey suit. Good on you.
It was ever so hot.
It was really it was. But you know what? I think it's just about having a laugh. It's just fun. It's just, I don't know if you saw the Neens, you know, Neens oatcakes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We did an advert with them. And so many brands come to us and say, we'd like you and DB to do a campaign. I mean, without naming names, there was a certain snack, and they wanted us to say that it was a multi-sensory snack for menopause. And it was like, you know what? If we say that, people are going to think we've been kidnapped and cloned. There are no way those words are coming out of our mouth for a bloody for a snack. I remember it because it was so absurd. Anyway, they went away for about 2 months, and then they came back and went, okay, we'll work with you. But you know, there was no way we were going to say it. It was like, sorry, it's not for us, you know, but they did come back. But But Nairn's oatcakes were brilliant, weren't they? Because they had this brief, and we said to them, look, we're going to be really honest with you. We understand this may work for someone else, but our community would just go, all right, it's an oatcake and it tastes all right, but we need to have fun with this. So we transported ourselves to Scotland from my back garden. So we had the full kilt and everything.
We were in the middle of the woods.
In it.
With a scream going through it, and all you could think of was, "Oh my God, this is a place people come to be murdered in, right?" She knows how I feel about these, and I kept on saying to her, "Oh my God, when are we going to be done? Mate, if we don't get killed, it's going to be a miracle."
Dressed in kilts with bloody wigs on, everything. We got this little Loch Ness monster and we'd set off down the street. I mean,
Jump the street.
it was hilarious. And we went on a scavenger hunt with the
Glaswegian accent.
and the whole thing we did in Glaswegian. Well, the Scots took it brilliantly.
Yeah,
They were
loved
like,
it.
"That's so shit. It's hilarious." Great.
Where can we see this?
Mate, I'll send it to you after.
It's
Oh
too
yeah.
bad.
Oh, I've
Because
got to
it's
see that.
so bad. It's the main reason we will never ever get into acting. I fashioned myself on Dame Judi Dench, but I think she would probably throw something at me if she saw the Neens cookie.
We ended up looking like Russ Abbott.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, brilliant. Actually, DB, I was on Instagram. There was a picture of you. I swear to God, you look like Cameron Diaz.
Oh, thanks, love. Don't say what. Don't spoil it.
End interview.
Leave it. We love it, speeches. Thank you. Bye-bye. Anyway,
And that'll be it. Okay. So I am so...
be honest.
Yeah, am I going to get like a little log cabin at Stansted and sound baths in the morning?
You know what? If that's what you want, love, that's what you're going to get.
Make that happen. Now listen, our weekenders.
Get some symbols, not sound baths.
Dress up as two performing. I have to say, our weekenders are bloody brilliant, okay? And I know that we have made them happen, but they are just
We
amazing.
love them.
So last year on the Friday, you turn up, you have a groundbreaking icebreaker of some sort. We don't say
Groundbreaking icebreaker. That'll be fun.
well. The last one was walking on fire and hot coals.
I've been
we
nervous
don't
about that.
anybody what it is until they arrive.
No, nobody knows what
So the next one, nobody knows what it is. And it, listen, it could be fun, it could be scary, it could be, we just
anything.
What's your worst fear?
yeah.
I'm not saying.
Turn up on the Friday, you'll have an icebreaker, but you'll all get to know each other.
Really quickly.
Then on the Saturday, there'll be talks about menopause with menopause experts. We've got Sue, which talks about relationships, as in family relationships and confidence. We've got
Therese.
Therese Ryan. Therese Ryan, you will do. She's very funny TikTok and stuff, and she's going to talk about how she got into it and is now making a very, very good living out of Instagram, etc. Because as much as people look up to people like yourselves and us, anybody can do this,
Yes,
ladies.
Absolutely.
Shocker, isn't it?
And people say to us all the time, well, it's all right for you, Neens, or, you're really confident. But I always say to people, you don't have to be confident.
No, you don't.
Do it on shyness and then let people see you grow and people will gravitate
Do what
towards that.
makes you happy. Talk about what makes you happy. And if something doesn't make you happy, talk about what makes you angry.
It's
There will always be
goes,
somebody there that's willing to listen.
it goes back to being authentic. Don't try and be somebody else because that's pointless. Somebody else has got that job already.
Into nowhere.
Yeah, so true. So on a Saturday, after you've all been empowered and inspired, etc., you'll then go on to a disco and there will be some entertainment, which we're not telling you what it is. And then you will also, we've got Helen from Disco Kids is going to be on the decks. She's amazing. So we're going to have a bit of a disco. She's going to DJ for us for a bit, isn't she?
She is indeed.
She's incredible.
Fabulous.
And then it will be nightcap and beddy buys, not too late. And then you're up the next morning, and then it's going to be beauty, style. So there's skincare style, and we're going to do acupressure from a Chinese herbalist. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so just, it's just...
It feels like a lot, and we do try to get in as much as possible, but we're just trying to cover everything that people have expressed interest in previously when we've done them. And you know, especially the menopause stuff and the Sue with relationships and confidence. That's a really big hit for a lot of women in their menopause, and they really want. And you know, we could have probably filled a whole day last year with just menopause
and anxiety,
and that could have been it. So it's a busy day, but it's a really fun day. There's lots of laughter. There's lots of tears. There's lots of just complete stupidity.
There's a lot of realizations, I think, when these women come. They feel less alone.
Yeah.
And they're spoken about. And then, you know, there was tears. There's always tears.
Yeah.
You know, because people are sharing things. It is a really safe space. You know, I know that I always think that sounds a bit wanky, but it's true.
It's true.
It is true, you know.
Because some people don't have somebody to speak to.
Yeah, they don't. And that's
anything.
another thing with us, you know, for the whole weekend, it's £305. You know, and for that, you're getting 2 nights accommodation, your meal, your dinner, wine with your dinner, you know, lunch, breakfast, all these speakers, a goodie bag. But we've always said, we won't take from our community, right? So we are like modern day Robin Hood, and I genuinely mean that. We'd rather take.
We're poor people.
Literally, honestly, we all got pot to piss in, but we would rather take from big boys than we would take from our community, and we've always said that. And we were approached last year about our weekender, and somebody said, you need to up that to £700 per person. We'll manage it. We'll do this. And I said, no, because you don't see little Annie sitting at home on her own, riddled with anxiety, who can't afford that.
Yeah. Especially at the moment.
Good for you.
Absolutely, at the moment. Yeah, any day, but you know, the middle of a cost of living crisis, that isolates people even more.
Will you stop moving over?
I haven't done it. I haven't done it.
Here when we started.
I'm normally over here.
Light.
So is it sold out yet?
We've actually got 8 tickets left.
8 tickets. Well, we're going to bring forward this little episode before March, because the retreat weekender is 1st to the 3rd of March, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there is still time for people to sign up. I'm going to be there. Liz is not. But I am so looking forward to it, because I know that you will just make sure that everybody has fun and meets one another. So I'm hoping to make at least 119 new friends.
Why that number?
Because there's 120 going.
Oh, is he?
And I'm one of them.
Yeah.
It's maths.
Yeah, you will do, without a doubt.
Yeah,
and it's,
you will.
you know, it is so uplifting. It's so uplifting.
Yeah.
And, you know, many of us have said, you know, you gave me the strength to kind of carry on. And that's
huge.
It's like it's massive. And actually, I think sometimes
We forget that.
yeah, and actually, I am incredibly proud that we always said that what we wanted to do was make women feel seen and heard, and we don't only do that online, we do it in real life. And honestly, but that's, we couldn't do it without those people.
No. So where do they sign up, these last 8 people? Or where do they sign up for the weekender? And also, where does everybody else, so you can get another 100,000 people following you on your platform, where do they find you?
Bless you. Thank you, ladies. They are, so you can find us at Rants and Big Pants on, well, we've got a very small following on TikTok, but on Facebook and on Instagram. Claire and I have actually just started a Size by Side channel on YouTube. So we're going to be sharing a lot more tips over there as well. And for the weekender, what you're probably better off doing is heading over to our website, which is rantsandbigpants.com. And you'll see there's either click on Weekender or click on the blog post, and it's the latest blog post.
All right. And DB, quick plug for your book. What's it called?
My first book was called Secrets and Lies. It's on Amazon, both ebook and paperback, and also in Kindle Unlimited. And it's written under the name Kitty DB.
I love that. Thank you, ladies. It's wine o'clock. We better all go and have a little class or something. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
We will see you very soon. Bye. Thank you.